Okay, so now since we were talking about Jason Blum and the whole horror situation and what they need to do to fix some things because they on the struggle bus over there with the horror stuff, let's talk about the best horror movies that have been released so far in 2025. So, you already know we're 6 months into the year. Half the year's already gone. We're now 7 months in. 6 months. Yeah, I already said 6 months pretty much done. All of a sudden, we got a lot of really cool movies coming out. Like we have Weapons, Black Phone 2. I totally forgot we had Predator Badlands coming out. I definitely want to see Predator Badlands. I like that other Predator one, the animated one that was on Hulu. So with it being since we're 6 months deep into the year, shout out to Variety, who pretty much compiled together a list of the best horror movies of 2025. I think I probably because the damn thing is in the way. That's the girl from that's the girl who turned out to be the grandmother from Final Destination Bloodline. Well, whatever. We're just gonna have to leave it in there. So yeah, they've compiled a list of some of the movies that did really well at the box office that they thought were like really good films. So they do first we'll get into the honorable mentions, then we'll get into their top films and see if y'all agree. So the first honorable mention they picked was Bring Her Back, which I have not seen, but I have heard, well not heard, but I've seen it. It's actually available on demand, so I definitely want to check it out. I don't know if it's a film I want to spend $20 to watch on demand. I'm thinking I'll just wait until it pops on one of the streaming services and I'll check it out. But I've been hearing a lot of great things about Bring Her Back, which is the follow-up to Talk to Me, which was directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. They Greek. I'm guessing because of the last name. So yeah, I heard that it's really good. Um, so I definitely want to check that out. Another film that they picked as an honorable mention that I want to check out that's also on video on demand, if you guys want to check it out, is Clown in a Cornfield. Where they said it's more clever than the name implies, a mid-film twist plays well at upending genre conventions. And Felix has mentioned many a times, friends of the show, that that is a film that also features some queer characters in a horror film, which we definitely need a lot more of because we don't really have, I feel like, enough queer characters in horror movies, especially because queer people love slasher films. Queer people love horror films because it's a whole allegory that I could probably get into, but I don't feel like doing that right now because I've done it many times on the show. But for the most part, queer people are definitely, we support a lot of like horror movies and things of that nature. And I'm guessing, and it's only a matter of time before it ends up on Shudder, because Shudder is a producer along with what is it, RLJE Films. So I'm sure sooner or later it will pop up on Shudder, but it is available on demand if people want to see it. Another film that is getting an honorable mention that I did mention earlier in my previous report when I was talking about Blumhouse and their whole situation was going on, especially with the flopation of Megan 2.0, is Drop, where it says it's one of the year's best popcorn movies. Megan Fahey has to squeeze out of one sticky situation after another in this dynamically filmed low budget thriller. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I heard it was like it cost $10 million to make and only grossed, I think, 20, like under 30 million, like about 20, I think 20 to $25 million globally. So while it does sound like a bit of a flop, it's not really because it don't cost much to make for Blumhouse to produce these films that they produce, but it is something I want to check out. And it's going to end up on what is it? I think HBO Max in the next week or two. Now another film that they've chosen, I think it might be the last one on the list with honorable mentions, is Predator: Killer of Killers, which was the animated series. If you see, I don't know if you guys have seen it, it's on Hulu, where the Predator battles different groups of warriors in different times. And so, um, visually the animation looked really good. I loved all the blood and everything and the a lot of the kills and stuff in it. I would love to have seen that as live action, but it's probably a lot cheaper to do that animated, which has me thinking also, yeah, I can't wait to see Predator Badlands. So the people that's been behind, a lot of the Predators, I think the same guy, was it Dan Trachtenberg, I believe is his name, who did Prey and is behind, Predator Badlands and also Predator Killer of Killers. He definitely knows his thing when it comes to the Predator franchise. I just wish either him or Fede Alvarez, the next thing y'all could do is can y'all find a way to please revive this Terminator franchise? Because everybody has tried it And I don't think they truly understand. But I feel like the two people that I feel like have really understood how to revive the whole franchise and make it really cool and stuff would be Dan Trachtenberg or Fede Alvarez, because Fede Alvarez definitely, revived the Evil Dead franchise. Well, made it really interesting and breathed new life into the franchise. Also, Aliens, the last Alien movie, Alien Romulus. I know we're getting another Alien movie. Don't know when. They're supposed to start shooting or whatever. But Alien Romulus, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I saw it twice in the theater. Now, let's get to the top 10. So the top 10 is a film called Presence, which I think I heard of this. Is that Lucy Liu? Well, I know y'all probably can't tell what I'm looking at. But anyway, because I'm sitting there answering the question, y'all can't see what I'm doing because I got the actual picture up. So they said Steven Soderbergh's unique take on a ghost story finds his camera roaming a house in a special first person mode. The family inside can certainly feel the spirit roaming around the home, but why? There's certainly more going on in the story than unfinished business, and Soderbergh can land the plane on the murder mystery penned by his frequent collaborator David Koepp. For experimental work, it's a rousing success. Wait, didn't David Koepp write the recent Jurassic World movie? So, Chair, if that's the case, how you write a good horror film about ghosts haunting a house, but you couldn't write a good damn script for Jurassic World? Probably because Universal was sticking their damn hands in the situation and not letting people just come up with a really cool concept. Anyway, now number 9, I will agree. Hard Eyes. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. There were some parts about it I was like, y'all teeter a little too much on the comedy. And it got to a point where I'm like, can y'all get back to the killing? Like, I feel like y'all been teetering on the rom-com stuff a little too much. I forgot. I felt like I was watching a Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Lopez rom-com. And then with Matthew McConaughey or whichever leading man in the 90s into the 2000s at that point. Like, I felt like I was watching one of those. Then I forgot. I was like, when the killer burst out, the Hard Eyes killer burst out the closet, when Mason Gooding took old girl back to her apartment, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Olivia Holt, that's her name. I forgot we was watching a horror movie. But when I went to see it in the theater, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So Josh Rubin directed a tricky piece of pop culture, mixing a perfectly charming rom-com with the DNA of a Scream-esque whodunit. Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding are endlessly charming as a new couple with the most conventional meet cute of all time. But what happens when their first evening together turns into a one crazy night movie where they're pursued by a serial killer? The laughs ultimately outweigh the scares, true, but it's a great genre twist for slasher fans, elevated by a supporting cast that includes memorable turns from Gigi Zumbato, Michaela Watkins, Devon Sawa, and Jordana Brewster. And I love me some Devon Sawa. So anytime he shows up in a movie, I'm definitely watching that. And Jordana Brewster definitely did her big one up in that film too. So I enjoyed the film. Hopefully, if we get a sequel, I'm sure we will be getting a sequel to Hard Eyes, that they can go a little more Thor Ragnarok and less Thor Love and Thunder. Because I need y'all to be able to balance the horror and the comedy and not teeter too much on one side and give very little on the other side. So hopefully, with the sequel, we will always want more gore, more this, more that. It's always about the carnage candy when you make the sequels. So you can build up the body count, but give us, really cool kills, but balance it out with the comedy. Like, I'll be here for it, but don't just be giving too much comedy. Now, another film that they have on this list, I have not ever heard of this movie, called Best Wishes to All, which is on Shudder. They said this Japanese horror movie is filled with some of the most did I forget how to read? Some of the indelible, thank you, brain, for cooperating, imagery put on screen this year. Nightmare fuel for those able to keep their eyes open. Now, Kotone Furukawa plays a young woman visiting her grandparents who stumbles upon a very shocking and seemingly normalized part of their family history. Telling a larger story about happiness and class culture, Yuta Shimotsu's film is most impactful when it's in Gonzo family drama mode, making eye-popping sacrifices a family affair. Now, another film I have not heard of. Damn, I must, you know what? And I have Shudder. How am I not aware of these films? Maybe because I haven't been watching Shudder now. The only thing I have been doing on Shudder lately, I have kind of gotten into animals eating people mode. So I did watch Lake Placid. the other day. The movie where, Betty White up here cussing. That was actually a good movie. Then they have on there, so they got a lot of reptile movies on there all of a sudden. So I've kind of been watching a lot of those. Then they dropped Orca, which I was watching a Joe Blow video around that, and I almost was tempted to buy the movie. And something in my gut was like, don't buy the film right now. Then all of a sudden, July 1st came around and it popped up on show. I said, you know what? This is why I was like listening to my spirit. Because my spirit would never steer me wrong. So I've been watching a lot of like animals killing people films and stuff on it. I don't know. Because isn't it Shark Week in July? So that's probably why I've been caught up in that. And in The Strain, they put up the whole series on Shudder. So I haven't really been watching the movies like I need to be. But now that I got these recommendations, I definitely will be checking these films out. So this film called Dead Male, it came in at number 7, which is on Shudder, as I stated, in case anybody want to ask, where is it playing? So Joe DeBoer and Conahay's unique conspiracy mystery feels beamed out of the 80s with production design and filmmaking that recalls long-forgotten VHS relic. When a synthesizer expert is kidnapped, he's able to get a desperate letter into the mail, and the amateur sleuths at the dead letter office start hunting. Wait a minute, I did hear this film. Things quickly get complicated for all parties involved, and the film's visuals and soundtracks stick around even after the credits roll. Oh yeah, I did hear this film. So Dead Man, I did hear it. I'll definitely check that out. Then they have at number 6, The Monkey, which I've heard mixed reviews on this, but I'm gonna definitely check it out. Now, Oz Perkins about the success of Long Legs, which I thought was one of the worst movies of the year when they dropped that. I did not like Long Legs at all. I thought Nick Cage irritated me with his performance. It literally felt like a Silence of the Lamb ripoff, and not in a good way. Like, I'm all for ripoffs or movies that are inspired by it, but it felt like you were just being a little too presumptuous, and it just felt like you were trying to show off. And when I watched the film, I was irritated with it. Micah Monroe, I like her, and I like when she tries to dip her, when she plays in the whole horror movie genre, because, that's kind of like what her bread and butter has been. Like, we've seen Michael Monroe in a lot of horror films, but I just hated Long Legs. And so I've kind of been a little hesitant to want to see this movie. So now Theo James is a hoot playing identical twins, trying unsuccessfully to keep this malevolent force buried. And some of the year's freakiest deaths come courtesy of this furry fiend, a nasty, brutish piece of work that is sure to satisfy gorehounds. Now, number 5, I don't know what y'all bugging with this one. They picked 28 Years Later. Director Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland's return to the zombie franchise is bold, divisive, gory, and a hell of an adventure. Reuniting with 28 Days Later, cinematographer Anthony Dodd Mantle, who shot most of the film on compelling iPhone rigs. The stylish colors and editing keep things eye-popping. The stylish look underlines the disturbing gore and the heart-pounding pursuits as young Alfie Williams learns to become a man by sneaking off to shoot zombies in an infected zone. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Ray Fiennes add grit to their supporting roles, and it's hard to believe another sequel will be released in a matter of months. Yeah, so we have The Bone Temple coming out in January. Hopefully that will be better than this film. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think like 20 Years Later is the worst film, but there were certain decisions that were made with the story that I just didn't particularly care for. But I'm not going to take away the fact that Alfie Williams is phenomenal in the movie as Spike. I liked his part, and I like what the kid brought. Definitely is somebody who was wise beyond his years in the playing the character that he played. Aaron Taylor Johnson, of course, he's regardless of if the movie is poo or whatever, he is a great actor, so he's always going to show up and deliver. And Ray Fiennes is an icon, so we already know like those actors. And then what is it, Jodie Comer, who played Alfie Williams' mother, or Spike's mother, because the character's name is Spike. I thought all the actors did a great job. It was just some of the direction, some of the ideas that Danny Boyle had chosen as a film, some filmmaker decisions, I guess is the word I'm trying to say, that he made just did not resonate with me. I just didn't like some of the decisions he made. But nevertheless, it's on the list. At number 4. Now, I will agree with you on this one. Number 4 is Companion. The twisty sci-fi thriller stars Sophie Thatcher as a love robot who is manipulated into murder while on vacation with a devious group of friends. Thatcher is terrific. Oh, see, speaking of which, this is a film that has queer characters in it. Thatcher is terrific, coming to terms with not only her gaslighting boyfriend, played by Jack Quaid, who Jack Quaid is very good at playing smarmy and pretty much like a dick. I mean, he played it well in Scream 6, or well, no, Scream 5, sorry, where I kind of figured I was like, okay, you was giving killer vibes, but he's real good at playing like this guy who seems innocent but is a certified dick. He's real good at playing that. But also the fact that she's not human after all, and the bloody twists keep amping up the stakes. But I will say this, I was pissed during the trailers that y'all revealed that what she was, because I never crossed my mind when y'all went to my companion that she was a robot that basically just does whatever you want it to do, like a companion, companion thing, like, okay, is this some girl that you went on a date with, you held her against your will, that sort of thing. I kind of wish they would have kept that in the dark and left us that twist be the surprise. But I feel like maybe the marketing people just didn't think that the movie was going to do well at the box office and they didn't trust their instincts. So it's like, don't reveal too much of the key points of your movie, because if you ruin it, that takes away the whole that goosebumpsy feel that I get when I see a movie and I want to discover the big twist. It's the same thing, like that's like revealing who the killer in Scream is in the damn trailer. Oh, you're gonna assume take his mask off and stab somebody? I'm like, what? Why would you do that? We go to the movie to find out who the killer is or what the twist is. So I would have enjoyed Companion a lot more if they didn't reveal that and didn't spoil it for me. But it is what it is. But it's still definitely a movie you should check out if you have not seen it. If you need to find, if you have a HBO Max, definitely check it out, because that's where you can find Companion. Now, number 3. And y'all already know I ranted and raved enough about this damn movie on this show. Final Destination Bloodlines. Who would have thought that the 6th film in the beloved franchise, one that comes after a 14-year gap since the previous chapter, would be such a nimble crowd pleaser? Bloodlines has many of the same beats as previous installments while making some key changes. The group of people avoiding Dev's cruel fate are all family members instead of random strangers. The opening dream set piece was a flashback, allowing for the main film to be filled with new characters that hadn't died yet, and the movie felt bigger in scope overall. But ultimately, that would work very well were the ooey gooey kills, which were a perfect blend of funny and cringy. Mixing a heartfelt goodbye from franchise fixture Tony Todd, and it's no surprise why this was such a critical and commercial success. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, some people had a problem with the film being a little too on the comedic side, but when you're dealing with a lot of crazy kills or whatever, I need like that laugh release thing, because I'm already tense when I'm watching a lot of these films in the theater. Like, I'm on edge. I'm like, look, this could happen in real life. Y'all already know how I be feeling when I be watching these Final Destination movies. Because, and I feel like with that film, kind of like with Urban Legend back in the day, where it was like, oh no, you don't mix Pop Rocks with soda because then your stomach will explode. Like, a lot of us believe that when we were kids growing up. But in this whole situation, it's like, no, you don't drive behind a truck that has a bunch of logs on it, because them logs come loose, go into the car, and basically you will lose your face while you're trying to get from, drive side to side to get to your destination. So it's like, yeah, when you see a lot of this, and then like, remember when the kid for the first Final Destination was taking a shower and got the thing wrapped around his neck and he basically hung himself? Wasn't him. It was, death. But these are things that could really happen. And then the teacher, when she's in the kitchen basically became her damn, a murder spree. The damn kitchen killed her with the knives and stuff going up in her, and the microwave exploded. Like, it was just crazy. So these are things like Final Destination is like one of the franchises that definitely freaks me out, but I love watching the franchise. And so, yeah, I need those funny release moments. Everything don't always have to be straight up hardcore slasher killer horror stuff. Like, I need those funny beats. So I didn't mind it. But yeah, and I like this idea. So I'm definitely looking forward to what they're going to come up with the sequel, Final Destination 7, because one is coming. Now, number 2, they said a film called The Shrouds, which I've never heard of, actually. They said David Cronenberg, who I actually love a lot of his film because he does a lot of body horror, and I know his son directs as well. I think his daughter also directs. Like the whole family directs. Now, David Cronenberg's latest film is about the living who haunt graveyards, namely Karsh, played by Vincent Cassel, a man who builds in-tomb cameras so the mourners can watch their loved ones rot in real time. Okay, that is crazy. It's a downer logline that morphs into a thorny story of corporate intrigue, complete with body horror flourishes and romantic moments as horny as they are vulnerable. An odd chapter in an unparalleled career, The Shrouds is a much watch as Cronenberg ponders death with a great trope of actors, including Diane Kruger, Guy Pearce, and Sandrine Holt. This sounds like a crazy concept to the point that I actually kind of want to see it. Because when you're sitting here talking about um, people, you're putting cameras in these coffins so that when you can literally watch bodies rot, like I'm literally imagining this in my head as I'm saying it. You can watch your loved ones rot in real time, and you can imagine because I remember like we would see movies where you would kind of see like that effect of like a body rotting and that sort of thing. So us literally having to see this happen, and people just sitting there having like this voyeuristic feeling, like that's something I would have never thought of as a creator. But this is something that David Cronenberg, if you ever watch his films, his main core thing that he always focuses on is some type of body horror idea. That's always kind of been like his foundation, but he always comes up with clever ways of telling the story of body horror, like from The Fly to Rabid, so many other amazing movies that he's come out with that definitely a lot of people should check out if you've never seen a Cronenberg movie. Now, let's get into number one, and I'm sure y'all can imagine what number one is, and that is none other than my other husband, Michael Bakari Jordan, in Sinners. Excuse me. So they said an unbelievably confident work. Oh wait, see, I said excuse me, and now my phone thought I said Siri, and so Siri is now give me a question, so I had to shut my Siri off. But anyway, let's get into the thing. So it says an unbelievable, confident work stuffed with imagination. Writer director Ryan Coogler delivered his best film yet with the music-filled horror story, led by a career high Michael B. Jordan playing the Smokestack twins. Each character in this rich work, which swerves into the supernatural once an Irish vampire hunts and starts infecting the clientele of the twins' new juke joint, could anchor their own movie. The blend is sexy, surprising, and gorgeously shot, and an unforgettable twist as well-trodden bloodsucker lore. So, y'all already know I can't tell you enough about Sinners because I have talked about this movie ad nauseum. Y'all know I love this movie. This is like one of my favorite films of 2025. It definitely gives the vibe of this is the only movie so far this year that is a guaranteed shoe-in for Oscar consideration. I'm not saying just for the best cinematography, best music, best, set design, costumes, all that stuff, even though I don't know if a lot of people know this, but a lot of the costumes that the extras are wearing in the film were bought by Warner Brothers because that was initially the costumes Ruth Carter was working on for the Blade reboot that was supposed to take place in the 1930s. So Warner Brothers ended up buying those costumes for people to wear in the movie. And they did iterate that where you see like the main cast, like the Smokestack twins and all that stuff, their costumes are original. But for the most part, when you see a lot of the background actors in, they're wearing costumes that were initially supposed to be for Blade. I kind of wonder if they're going to go on an approach that Blade's mother was bitten by a vampire, and then he actually would have been like in the 1930s in the antebellum South, and he would have been hunting, maybe white folks, slaves, and the Klan. That would have been a cool idea, actually. I would like to see that version, but I don't think that's the direction they're going into. Because Mahershala Ali already said at this point in a recent interview to wrap this up, with doing Jurassic World, he said, "Leave my name out of it when it comes to this Blade stuff. Like it's up to them over there at the MCU. Whatever they figuring out, let them figure it out. But I'm ready to go. They can't figure out what the hell they need to do with this movie. So, I love the costumes. I love the music. The only thing that irritated me about Sinners was the fact that, since we were talking about spoilers, the spoilation of Mary becoming a vampire and you showing it in the trailer. That should have been something that should have never been shown. But it's this whole mentality that we got to come out with like 4 trailers so that way y'all remember to go see the damn movie. It's like, stop spoiling so much of your movie because you're ruining it for us. I don't like a lot of spoilers. Maybe you're thinking like Gen Z or somebody like that. There's some people out there that love spoilers, whatever. I remember I had my roommate Devin want you to tell him the whole damn movie before he watches it. I'm like, well, damn, well, then what's the point of you watching the movie? Like, I don't like spoilers. I like to go in and just have the experience, go on the ride, and you take me in whatever direction you want to take me. I don't want somebody to have to spell it out for me and then have my moment ruined. So, besides that, Sinners definitely deserves to be the number one movie on this list. And I was ever check out the other ones. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree with this list that Variety has compiled so far? I think what I'm gonna do is around towards the end of the year, I'm gonna compile my full list because while there's some on there I agree with, there's some I don't agree with, and there's some I didn't see, so I can't determine whether or not that they're accurate with their choices. But yeah, we still got a ways to go in regards of compiling the list, and I guess around Halloween, I'll probably have a good enough list to put together my own, and we can compare it back to what we have here. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.